Hey, I'm Samnang. This is S&J Pride. If you've ever felt like love had a deadline, if paperwork, visas, or safety forced you into impossible choices, stay with me for the next hour. Today, I want to tell you a story that at one point felt like a moral cliff. Marry for a visa, or watch someone you love disappear across an ocean.
And I'm James. If you're listening from a cramped room, a dark car, or a tiny apartment, wondering how practical choices become real love, you're in the right place. We're not your lawyers. We're not your therapists. We're two men who lived this and survived it.
If you've ever considered marrying because of paperwork, this episode is for you. I want to be clear. This is one man's story. Complex, messy, and human. It isn't a how-to. It's a truth-telling about fear, consent, and what actually made our marriage real.
The context? I met a man 3,000 miles away. We started as messages, then late-night calls, then flights that felt like paper bridges. He lived in a country where being gay could mean losing everything: family, job, safety. After months, there was a timeline, a visa window that would close if we didn't act. My family was in a different place entirely. Expectations, silence, old shame. I felt the clock in my chest. I felt the math. Distance plus danger plus time equals a pressure I'd never known.
For weeks, we talked around the question instead of through it. We flirted, we promised, we made plans like everyone does. But there was a question that refused to leave the room. Do we sign papers so he can stay? Or do we wait for something purer and risk losing him? I remember the night the deadline landed on my calendar like a stone. I was alone in my kitchen with a cup of coffee gone cold, and it felt like the whole future was in my hands, and also not mine at all.
Here's the hard part. Marrying for a visa felt like both pragmatism and betrayal. On one hand, it was a lifeline. On the other, I worried we were trading ceremony for convenience, that paperwork would become a substitute for knowing each other. I kept asking myself, can consent exist when fear is the background music? If someone says yes because they are terrified of being torn from the life they built, is that fully their choice? Those questions kept me up for nights.
I hear that. That's such a heavy place to be. From where I sit, what mattered was the honesty in the asking, not the sign on a dotted line. I remember listening to you describe the deadline and feeling the weight with you, like we were both balancing safety and integrity on a tightrope.
The turning point came the night I thought I would say yes to save everything. We were on video. He looked smaller than he had in photos, more tired, the stress visible around his eyes. He said, "If nothing else, can we just be honest with each other?" I felt the honesty like a lifeline. We talked for hours. I asked him directly, if I say yes now because of the paperwork, will you be okay telling me later if you need time to want this? Will you be allowed to change your mind without shame?
His answer wasn't cinematic. It was practical and tender. He said, I want to be safe. I want to be with you, but I also want to choose this with my whole self when I can. That sentence shifted everything. We wrote rules on a shared doc: transparency about emotions, permission to pause and revisit, no assumptions about what marriage would mean immediately. It sounds bureaucratic, because it was, but it also felt like a container for respect. We made consent into an ongoing conversation instead of a one-time stamp.
That's the practical side that held the emotional parts. We set boundaries, so the legal move didn't swallow the person underneath. I remember you saying, if I do this to keep you safe, I won't ask you to perform love as proof. We will learn to love each other, not pretend we already did. That honesty? Man, that took courage.
We signed the papers with a ceremony that felt awkward at first. No big fanfare, a simple town hall, a few witnesses we trusted. After the paperwork, there were awkward mornings, moments of doubt, nights when I wondered if we had rushed intimacy in the name of safety. But the work started then. Tiny rituals, honest check-ins, therapy appointments, language classes,
boundary setting with family who never fully understood. Real love didn't show up at the courthouse. It showed up at 2 a.m. when one of us was homesick, when we disagreed about money, when we held each other while paperwork and grief and hope all tangled together.
So what did I learn? 4 takeaways I wish someone had given me before that deadline swallowed my breath. 1. Consent is ongoing. A yes under pressure matters, but it should lead to repeated, open conversations after the legal step. 2. Safety is real and urgent. Sometimes paperwork is survival. That doesn't automatically make it wrong. 3. Build structures, rules, check-ins, a plan for real intimacy. If marriage is a legal act, make love the daily practice. 4. Seek counsel, both legal and emotional. An immigration attorney and a therapist are not indulgences. They're safety equipment.
If you're listening and you're in that space right now, leaning toward a yes because the alternative terrifies you, know this. Prioritizing safety is not a moral failing. You can protect someone and still insist on humanity. Ask for time. Ask for rules. Ask for clarity on how you'll check in with trust. We gave each other permission to be afraid and permission to be honest. That changed how we started our life together.
And if you're the one worried someone will marry you out of desperation, listen closely. Give them space to choose. Make room to say, if you do this now to stay safe, we will not hold that against you. We will make space for you to decide fully later. That sentence can be a radical gift. It turns coercion into partnership because it protects the vulnerable person from shame and creates a route back to autonomy.
Quick practical steps. Write a shared agreement. Schedule weekly emotional check-ins. Consult an immigration lawyer about genuine options. Find a counselor who understands queer immigrant trajectories. And name emergency plans so safety is never only on one person's shoulders. None of this guarantees a perfect outcome. Relationships are messy, but they create ethics around a messy choice.
We're not saying paperwork solves everything. It doesn't. What we are saying is this. Legality doesn't make love real, but love can make hard choices human. If this episode raises intense feelings, please consider talking to a professional. We are not giving legal or mental health advice. Go to an immigration attorney for your options and a licensed counselor if the emotions feel heavy.
If this story landed on you, if it hit the part of you that felt scared, guilty, practical, or hopeful, write to us. Tell us what part hit home. If you're not comfortable sharing details, just drop "I hear you" in the comments or a voice note. We read every message, and we keep them anonymous unless you ask us otherwise. You are not alone in this mess. You are not broken. You deserve choices that protect you and honor you.
If this hit home, hit subscribe. Tell a friend who might need to hear that they're allowed both to be practical and to be human. Comment with what part of this story you want us to unpack more. Legal steps, emotional check-ins, or how we built rituals, and we'll do a follow-up.
Thank you for being here. Take a breath. You're not alone. I hear you. This is SNJ Pride. We'll see you next week.